just got married, came back from an exercise in Canada, found out that she was seeing someone else.
Because you've got purpose and a mission, your mental health is fine in that regards. It's when people get out and they're not anybody anymore of any importance. They don't really know where they're going.
It's a single man's game.
Yeah.
You need a really resilient relationship if you're going to be playing the military life. I was seen as Ollie, the ex-Airborne physical training instructor. So I almost still carried that identity a little bit, setting up a new personal training business in a new gym. So there was low footfall. You know, I had a motorbike at the time. I sold that to so I could pay my rent.
Did you regret it at any time? Think, oh shit, what have I done?
You have those moments where you think, oh fucking hell, this is a bit touch and go.
On this episode of the Elite Podcast, I speak to Ollie Carson, former airborne soldier and military PTI, who built and ran one of the UK's leading transformational programs online, and now coaches others on how to do the same. Ollie, how you doing?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Really good. Really nice to meet you.
Yeah, I know. First time we've met. So 6-hour drive up, but absolutely worth it.
Is that what it took you?
Yeah,
was
6 hours.
So where is it you live?
Angmering. It's on the south coast. Probably the closest place that people will have heard of will be Worthing or Brighton.
I know that well. Yeah, I know that area well. Yeah, it's a long way, isn't it? You have to go past London and then another.
Yeah.
The M23.
Yeah, I drove up late last night, so not too bad. No traffic, straight in.
That is the best time to go. If you're going to try and navigate the traffic, it could be 10 hours.
Yeah, it's horrendous. It's horrendous.
Well, hopefully it'll be worth it anyway. And it's really nice to meet you. And I've been following you on social media probably for a good year.
Yeah.
And we connected a couple of times, haven't we, and spoken and stuff, because obviously you're a fellow airborne soldier as well, and seeing that you're not a budding entrepreneur, a successful entrepreneur, and a mentor as well, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So
that's right.
Yeah, so I wanted to get into that a little bit when we speak today. But to start off with, I thought it'd be good if we could just rewind the clock a little bit and talk a little bit about, you know, kind of where you grew up, what it was like where you grew up, and then just take things from there.
Yeah, absolutely. I grew up in a bit of a rough part of northwest London. Grew up on council estates, moving around quite a bit, and I had a pretty normal childhood. I was, had one brother. Dad wasn't around, so single mum. And that's kind of what led me into joining the military. Actually, is I got in a little bit of trouble with people in the local area. It's not a long story, but it's an interesting story about how I got into trouble with some local gypsies, actually.
Yeah,
and it actually ended up in them threatening my life.
Really?
And we had to kind of move house.
Shit. It's heavy, isn't it, if you're a teenager, that?
Yeah, so I was an apprentice mechanic. I qualified as a mechanic. I'd done my apprenticeship and got into this trouble when I was 19. And that was kind of the catalyst that led to me joining the military, because I had this kind of ultimatum where it was like, I can't live locally here. I can't move away. I've got no one to move in with. And so the military really was like a bit of a way out for me, really, to get away from trouble, as it were.
Yeah, just kind of, if I stay here, I'm going to end up getting myself in some real mischief. Yeah, I'm with you on that one as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what age were you then?
So this will happen when I was 19.
Yeah.
So I joined when I was 19.
Is that when you could get in within a few months instead of taking 12 months now with Capita?
Yeah, it was a mega quick process, actually.
Was it how quick?
Probably took me about, all in all, 2 months before I was in training. It didn't take long at all.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And what year was that then? And what year was that?
So that would have been, I've been out for about 7 years now, and I served for about 9. So it's probably about 16 years ago, whatever that is.
So 2008.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, about 2008. Oh, so when AFCON was on as well?
Yes.
Was you aware of that? Did you have any idea that you were probably going to get catapulted into a war zone at some stage?
I did. And you know, I had the pleasure of listening to Smudge's conversation a moment ago, and he spoke about, you know, his family obviously were in the military, and he had brothers that were in the Navy, etc. I didn't have any of that. So I had no idea kind of what I was getting myself into. And I think you find that, don't you? When you get in, there's blokes that are thoroughbred, their families serve.
Yeah.
And so it's like the next natural step for them. That just really wasn't the case for me. I had no clue what I was getting myself into. And that typical thing of I went into the careers office, I know it now retrospectively looking back, they have quotas to fill, don't they? I would imagine it's like, right, we need blokes in this unit or that unit or whatever.
Or whatever unit they're in as well sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of blokes have been poached in their...
Come and join us, you know, and that kind of happens quite a lot. When I first went into the careers office, I had no clue about any of it. And then I got a buzz, like meeting the full screw or sergeant or whatever it was there in the careers office in Wembley. I got a buzz for it and I started looking into it, and I really wanted to join the parachute regiment. And because I was a fully qualified mechanic, he really wanted to push me towards joining the REME as a vehicle mechanic. And he said, look, you're going to get this golden handshake. It's like $2,500 when you pass your phase 2 training and all that kind of stuff. I was adamant I wanted to join the parachute regiment. And, you know, he'd convinced me to join the REME, and that's what I did. Yeah. I joined the REME. And he told me, you know, once you pass out of training, you can go to an airborne unit and you can get your wings, and it's the same thing. Yeah. And I don't know anything. I'm just
I think I nearly went down that. I nearly went down that route, but I think I just failed all the tests.
Oh right.
Yeah. The only thing I could have gone into was that.
Right. So yeah, I mean, I ended up doing that, and I joined the REME, and $2,500 to me at the time as a golden handshake was a lot of money.
Oh wow, yeah, life-changing in it if you're 19.
Never seen that amount of money in my life, and so that was a massive incentive to do that. And I'm sure we'll talk about military career down the line, but then I ended up transferring, you know, later on in my career.
So you joined, you went for your basic training.
Yep.
Yeah. How long is that for REME? It's at standard, that the Army 10, 12 weeks?
I can't remember, 12 or 16 like weeks or something like that.
And then after that, you do your phase 2.
Phase 2.
So how did that work? Have you already trained, or is it all different stuff, or that's more specific?
You were supposed to have a shorter phase 2 training because I was a qualified mechanic already. Yeah. But I don't recall that actually happening. I still did like the full phase 2 training.
Everything you'd done literally wasn't of any benefit, really.
Not really. I did get the money. They did pay me the money after the phase 2 training had finished in Borden. So that was good. And then immediately off to 16 Air Assault Brigade. I served with the Airborne engineers initially.
So you went straight to there first, and then you were in the Airborne unit as well. But you hadn't done P Company or anything like that?
I hadn't done P Company or anything like that.
They treated you nicely then.
Yeah. Well, it's normal, isn't it? You know, you stepping into that environment, they're used to having blokes who aren't para-trained and that kind of thing. And they're attached arms anyway. You know, so that, although a lot of them think that they're more reg than reg.
I know, we were talking about this means Smudge. Some of them are more airborne than 1, 2 and 3 para, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. But I was still hell-bent. I wanted to do P Company because that was something that I was always interested in doing.
Were you physically fit naturally as well?
I'm a good natural endurance athlete, I would say.
Well, that's going to serve you well then.
Absolutely.
Good, like middle distance or long.
Yeah. You know, I've done my Ironmans, I've done all that sort of stuff.
Not good then. You're underselling yourself there then. If you've done an Ironman, that's a
it's pretty
substantial event to have done,
So you know, past P Company.
How did you find that?
Yeah, I loved it.
Did you?
I absolutely loved it. I was in my element.
This is the shit.
This is the shit. And that's where I really got the bug for, I don't want to be a mechanic. I don't want to be a VM.
Okay, so what happened? What happened then?
So served a bit more time. I ended up getting posted to Germany, and then I thought I need to transfer. But I was still posted in Germany at this point, and there was a tour coming up, an Afghan tour coming up. Yeah, that the brigade were going out to. And fortunately, I got selected to operate with the Brigade Reconnaissance Force. So I ended up just being a bloke on the ground. I was a gunner for the team. Yeah, so pretty unheard of, but you know, proved myself.
The Brigade Reconnaissance, isn't that like Pathfinders? Aren't they the Brigade Reconnaissance?
Well, they will be for the 16 Air Assault Brigade.
Oh, were you not with 16 Air Assault?
No, I wasn't with 16 Air Assault.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I was in Germany, so went out, and that was with the Coldstream Guards and 912th Lancers. Yeah. So. That was a fantastic tour, and then as soon as I got back from Afghan, that's when I transferred to the Lifeguards.
To the Lifeguards, what's that then?
So Lifeguards are Household Cavalry Regiment. Yeah. So you got 2 parts of the Household Cavalry Regiment. You got the Blues and Royals and the Lifeguards.
Is that more of an infantry role? Is it, or is it?
It's armored. It's armored infantry. Yeah. It's, you know, so it's a cavalry regiment. You've got like the ceremonial side in Knightsbridge, and then you've got the fighting unit in Windsor, which is what I was a part of.
People don't realise they see all the soldiers in the ceremonial stuff, and they look smart. You go, no, these are like highly trained soldiers as well. Do you know what I mean? Absolutely. People don't realise, see them messing about with them outside the palace and that, don't you?
Yeah.
And they look good. No, these guys are properly trained. highly trained British soldiers, you know, infantry soldiers.
Absolutely, yeah.
So how was that? Did you enjoy that time? Your time there?
Absolutely loved it. You know, it was definitely the right move. And then I was with my childhood sweetheart throughout this whole career.
Was you with her before you joined?
Before I joined.
That's hard work, isn't it? Going through all the training when you're in a relationship.
Training and then deployment and then exercises. And so I don't really blame her.
You were with her, did you say?
Well, so this is kind of where it came to a head. It was, you know, I came back we just got married, came back from an exercise in Canada, and found out that she was seeing someone else behind my back.
Bloody hell.
So marriage came to an end. I wasn't a welfare case, but I basically said, like, you know, I'm in married quarters. I've only been here for a couple of months and now my relationship's come to an end. And I'd seen a job opportunity come up to work as a personal trainer in a new gym in Chichester with a pretty well-known guy.
Is this obviously a Civv job?
Civv job.
Yeah.
And the Household Cavalry Regiment's a really small regiment. It's like really family-orientated regiment. And I went to they call them corporal majors, it's not sergeant majors, went to the regiment of corporal major, I explained the situation. And they were spot on. Like, I didn't have to serve a year. They said, look, you're going through a bit of a shit time. You've got this opportunity to take this job, because I'd been through the application process. They said, just go.
Bloody hell, they really looked after you then, didn't they?
Really looked after me. And, you know, I think I was probably out from the moment that I asked the question. I was out within 3 or 4 months. I'd served about 10 years by this point.
Yeah.
But I got out quicker than most.
So you got in the army dead quick and got out it quite quick, ironically.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So your life went from being a civvy to actually just being in the trenches and being a soldier, and then back out the other end. So you spat out 10 years later. Yeah. It's quite difficult, isn't it, that kind of integration back into society when you've been in such a structured environment? How did that work for you, especially with being a vet of Afghan as well? How did you find that integration, or was you hitting the floor running with what you'd got?
That's exactly it. I think I was quite fortunate in that, because I was taking up this new job role in a completely new industry. I was already I was a PTI in the army as well.
So you got qualified as a PT. That's going to stand you in good stead then, isn't it?
Yeah. And I'd used, whilst I was serving, I'd used like my LCAS to do my personal training level 3 and all the rest of it. So I was already qualified up.
Yeah.
But the fact that I was stepping into this new role straight upon leaving, it was a new business. There was a lot of hype around this business on social media as well. The guy who ran the gym, his name's Jamie Alderton. He's an ex-serving bloke as well, but he's quite well known on social media. He's got a big following and all that sort of stuff. So there was a lot of like allure and mystique around this gym opening up in Chichester. So I was fortunate in that, you know, stepping into that environment, like you say, I hit the ground running. I didn't have time to think about adjusting to Civvy Street and all the rest of it. It was just like, I need to get this business up and running as quickly as I can, my personal training business. So it kept me occupied, and I didn't have maybe the normal challenges that blokes who leave have of like integrating into civilian street, as it were.
You don't have time, do you? I think, you know, if you've got a purpose and a mission, like, because when you're in the military, you have a purpose and mission, even if you're shit bored sometimes, or you're doing something which isn't that particularly good, the job, because you've got purpose and a mission, your mental health is fine in that regards. It's when people get out and they're not anybody anymore of any importance. They don't really know where they're going. If you're working just for a paycheck, you're going to get stuck in a real bad rut at that stage. Yeah. But if you're just constantly putting out fires, solving problems, but you're headed in the right direction, you feel like you're on a mission, don't you? It's quite exciting. I was the same when I got out.
It's exactly that. And that's what I that point of like losing your identity, especially if you know, you're para-trained or you're a bootneck or whatever, you know, you're wearing that maroon lid and you cut around camp and you feel like 10 men.
Yeah.
You know, it's like having superpowers, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then, but one of the benefits that I had with leaving and starting my personal training business in this gym was I was seen as Ollie, the ex-Airborne physical training instructor. So I almost still carried that identity a little bit. You know, but I do fully appreciate that a lot of guys who leave, they lose that feeling of, shit, I was somebody, you know, and now I'm just kind of like in the office doing my 9 to 5 or whatever it might be. So I get that, but I didn't really experience that.
No, we did quite the opposite, really. You kind of would have been even more important and even more valuable because of the fact that you're quite unique in the gym. because everybody else is just the pretty muscles, aren't they?
Yeah.
These are functional. These
I can
do
actually
things.
do shit.
Yeah.
I'm an instrument, not an ornament.
Yeah.
Vibe,
I like that one.
Absolutely. So yeah, it was hit the ground running, but it was difficult, because I was ultimately setting up a new personal training business in a new gym. So there was low footfall. It wasn't established. The marketing was just getting going. And so it was quiet, and I had to sell my, I had a motorbike at the time. I sold that so I could pay my rent.
That's scary though, isn't it? It's not nice when you're living paycheck to paycheck and you're unsure and there's no certainty. That is the one challenge. And that's probably the one thing that scares most veterans. They think, just get a job, get the bills paid, especially because things are so secure in the military and that side. So you have to take that bet, didn't you? So you did well to be able to start that out. Did you regret it at any time? Think, oh shit, what have I done?
You have those moments where you think, oh, fucking hell, this is a bit touch and go. But I always just reminded myself of, like, especially when you're in, or even in your previous life before you join, you go through so many challenges in life, in particular in the military, especially if you've served on ops. You just think, like, put things in perspective. If I can't afford my rent this month, I'll get another job. I'll go and do something else. I mean, at the time I was juggling personal training, and I was doing butler and the buff on the side of an evening.
Well, yeah.
I was in good nick at the time. I'm not in great shape now. I've got 4 kids now and running 2 businesses, so I've let myself go a little bit, unfortunately. But yeah, I was doing butler and the buff on the side, and that just topped up my wages. So you'll always be all right is the kind of mantra that I have. Like, what's the worst case scenario? You'll figure it out. So I've always been willing to take more risks, I guess, in that scenario. Like, just leaving the military and moving my life down south, it wasn't an issue for me.
No. So you started your personal training business. So that's you on the floor, one-to-ones. Yeah. And you obviously built that up to some degree of success, I'd imagine. You're interacting with people using your physical skill set, but you've evolved somewhat now because a lot of the stuff you do is online. So So I'm imagining you probably built an online kind of community of people that you serviced for PT Online. Yep. But now don't you train trainers as well? So you've like stepped back as well. Yep. And I've seen a lot of your stuff on social media. That's how I came across you, by watching your material. And you post every day, and everything you put up is of good value. And you're consistent. So before I'd even we'd met, I feel like I know you anyway to some degree, because your personal branding is spot on. So do you want to talk a little bit about that? Because that, I'm assuming that's no accident, and that was obviously, you know what you're doing with regards to that, and this is what you kind of train people to do. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. So I was, again, I guess, quite fortunate in that, this first job that I took as a personal trainer, I was working with Jamie Alderton, who was the guy who opened the gym. And he was, I guess, my first unofficial mentor, if you like.
Unofficial, though? You didn't realise, you're just kind of watching what he's doing?
Yeah, I'm just learning from him, seeing the way that he operates, asking him questions. There was never a discussion about, I am going to mentor you, but I learned a lot in my time working with Jay. And I built the personal training business up to a point where, I was at capacity. This is the problem with PTs, is that you've only got so many hours in your working week. There's only so much you can charge for personal training within reason, unless you want to start, really, really, not ripping people off, but a PT
really high ticket.
Yeah, it's quite difficult to do. So there was no scalability there, and I was burnt out. I was on the gym floor 6-7 hours a day. It doesn't sound like a lot when you say 6-7 hours.
It's exhausting.
Being personable.
It's exhausting.
Really, really exhausting work.
Because you got to write the programs in between as well.
Exactly.
And
you've got admin and that kind of stuff.
That's about, I'd say 6 or 7 is literally probably the capacity. Because I'd imagine you're doing 6, maybe even 7 days a week as well at that point.
Yes. Because that's what where you can get it.
Yeah, that's what I was doing with martial arts. I was running 6 classes a night and doing privates in the day, and then trying to grow your business as well. And you're working every day, all the time. Yep. And that's a lot of clients, and they come to you a lot, don't they? Like you're getting text messages for it. It's like a lot of bloody work, isn't it? Maintaining their stability and
absolutely. And you become a bit of a sounding board for them, and so you take on a lot of their emotional stresses, and you become the third space for them. They've got their home, they've got their work, and then their training. It's like
therapist.
You become a therapist, and it's draining. It's really, really draining. So I started to build an online program on the side of that, and started gaining traction quite quickly because I got great results with my clients, and people took note of the results that I was getting, and I was showcasing that well online.
Yeah. How did you convert from that to that then, if you don't mind me asking? Because you see, there's probably a lot of PTs out there as well that are doing exactly the same, that are absolutely stretched. Well, there are. And then there's all sorts of online programs you can buy now, but you can't separate like the good from the bad. There's so many bad people out there and bad programs and people that are genuinely not even done it, just trying to make money. Did you get mentored on that, or did you figure that out, or did you pay to go on a good course and get good direction on that?
I've always had mentors.
Yeah.
I've invested, I can't even imagine how much money into mentoring coaches. You know, if I want to do something, I want to learn from somebody that's taken the path, walked and talked it, and is doing it. And so I've always had good guidance as to how to get better results with clients online, how to market yourself online. You know, I didn't have the money at the time. I was doing well with personal training, but I didn't have, I think it was like 12K or something, the investment for this guy sitting around. So I took out a credit card and I paid him, and I said, I want to learn how to do this online thing. And he taught me marketing, and he taught me sales, and he taught me delivery.
Was it valuable to you?
It was extremely valuable.
Yeah. Was it worth what you paid?
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's good to know. Yeah.
Absolutely. And yeah, the online started picking up. It started getting more and more busy. It came to its natural end working at Grenade Fit. I was sponsored by Grenade, the supplement company, and I was working for their gym, Grenade Fit in Chichester. It came to its natural close, and I opened my own facility. And the online got so busy that running the facility didn't make sense anymore. So I handed that off to some other local PTs that wanted to use it. If that's
taking loads of time, and you can systemize stuff as well, which how do you do it with yours? So you can be of more value to more people, and be even better value than just being once a week in training, can't you? Because you can systemize things to make sure you're checking in, you know, boxing things off. They've got a community. Do you do anything like that? Have you got like a community for you guys to
all of that stuff? So when I was training clients with their health and fitness, the system side of thing is like, okay, what can we hand off that doesn't require me? You know, so that would be like, okay, when we're taking payments and we're onboarding clients, how do we automate that?
Yeah.
What's our process for clients checking in? How do we make that as streamlined and as frictionless as possible? So there's always areas in your process that you can either delegate or systematize, as you say, to make easier. But there are certain things that do require your energy 100%, and input, of course.
And they're the ones that only you can do. The initial consultation or something, you've got to buy into you, haven't they, at that stage? Yeah.
You know, maybe I was taking sales calls, I was doing the weekly check-ins with the client, keeping them accountable, that kind of thing. And I'd built the online business to a really, really good place. It was in a really healthy place. And then COVID hit.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Well, COVID was a bit of a blessing for me, really, because I was already operating online and getting results with clients. And so people who wanted to train at home were like, oh, Ollie's doing that, you know, I'll get involved with that. And I marketed it well throughout COVID. And it got bigger and bigger.
So you grew during COVID then because of the structure that you did with your business?
Yeah.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah. So I was really, really fortunate and feel very blessed to this day that, you know, we were in a position where we didn't stress like a lot of people did throughout COVID. But then I started getting approached by trainers, you know, to say like, Ollie, how are you coaching your clients online? How do you do this? How do you do that? And I thought there's something here. People are asking me about systems and about process and all the rest of it. So I started Supercharged Fit Pro, and that's kind of where what I do now was born, basically.
Brilliant. So do you train individuals anymore now, or have you moved on? You can be of more value to more people by training the trainers. It's kind of what I do, my martial arts as well now. So I don't teach martial arts, I teach the trainers and mentor them and help them. And then because of that, we teach thousands and thousands more people. So you're able to have more of an impact, more of a positive impact.
And as you know, Lee, it's that ripple effect as well, because the impact that you have on, you know, the martial arts school owner disseminates down to their students, which disseminates to their family and their friends, because, you know, you're having a positive impact on people's lives and you're improving their lives by helping them get more members or whatever it might be. And that's having a positive ripple effect across the board. And that for me is unbelievably fulfilling. Like when I was personal training, I used to think that was the most fulfilling job that you could do. You know, you get to the end of a a 12-week or a 16-week block with working with someone and they've lost considerable amount of weight, they feel better, they're more confident. It's like, wow, this is fucking awesome, you know? But now the kind of messages that we get is, I've just secured my first house, you know, I've just got a mortgage with my wife, or I've just taken my family away on holiday. And like that for me is just unbelievably fulfilling to have those kind of positive impacts on people's lives. You know?
That's brilliant, mate. Yeah, that is good. So you got purpose, you got mission. Yeah, you know. So since you left the army, so about 7 years, 6 years?
About 7 years.
Have you looked back at all? Has there been any, because the integration does sometimes happen at some stage, like even if it's not immediately afterwards, because you can be distracted, can't you?
Yeah.
I always say run faster than your problems.
Yeah.
But eventually you're going to have to kind of, you know, integrate in somewhat. Did that happen at any stage? Did you get a bit of a wobble? Even, and it doesn't necessarily mean, you know, I know a lot of people suffer from PTSD and they've seen some terrible things, but just being in the military in itself and the structured life you live and the type of person you become, especially as an airborne soldier, and you're doing P company and can't have emotions, can you? Yeah. Can't have emotions.
No.
You know what I mean? The only emotion you have is anger. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the only allowed one, isn't it? Everything else pushed down. Yeah. You know, did you unwind and untangle at any stage with family life or anything like that?
I would probably be a liar if I said it didn't.
Yeah.
You know, first marriage failed.
Yeah.
When I got back from Canada and found out she was having an affair, there's a reason for that. You know, being in the army, especially if you're a fit bloke and you're always away. Smudge talked about, you know, like he's away here and he's done that and he's done this. It's a single man's game.
Yeah.
You need a really resilient relationship if you're going to be playing the military life. So that took a massive toll on that first marriage. Second marriage, which is with a woman that I met at the gym when I started my personal training business, had 2 children with her, that failed. And not necessarily because obviously anything to do with the military, but I just had this thing ingrained in me where like if I'm doing something, I'm doing it, I'm all in.
Yeah.
And
this is what I'm talking about, that side of it.
That side, that can be a detriment.
That's not normal really, is it? That's not what a balanced.
No.
So, you know, people talk about having a balanced life as well. To be successful though, unfortunately, you can't. No. You can establish some type of success and then establish some balance afterwards. But if you want to become really successful, you've got to do what others aren't doing, and you have to do it to the degree that they're not prepared to get ahead of the game. And that's tough. That's tough on relationships as well, isn't it then?
Unbelievably tough on relationships. And, you know yourself, you know, like world champion kickboxer, unbelievably successful business. You sacrifice a lot. And I think there's this kind of, especially in today's generation and society, it's almost like this entitlement of like, everyone wants this, they want the things, they want the success, they want to be able to go on these luxurious holidays or buy the perfect house or whatever it might be. But the reality is that they don't want to make sacrifices. And I'm not, by any stretch of the imagination, glamorizing the fact that I've had 2 failed marriages. Like I'm not proud of that at all. But I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now if I hadn't put in the time and effort that I had at that time. And so that kind of just is what it is, you know. Like I say, not glamorizing that at all, but I just think people's perception of what it takes to be successful is maybe a little bit skewed. Oh, absolutely. There's, like I said earlier, you have to be prepared to do the things that others can't. At the point, I always say this, you know, at the point where you've given everything and you've got absolutely nothing left to give and you're done, it's just past there where success is. That's where everyone else drops off at that point. And that's because it's just, you know, they've given everything. So do you know what I do? Whenever I get to that point now when I'm absolutely spent, I go, oh yeah, okay. And then I just double down then and I just drive through it. And you spoke about this earlier with Smudge off air, but a lot of the airborne blokes and the ex-parachute reg guys and the Royal Marine guys, they all have that ingrained in them through training, through, you know, serving however long they serve. And yet when they leave the military, they don't apply those attributes and character traits into building something really phenomenal when they absolutely could. And I don't know if it's a lack of confidence or if they've been institutionalized and they don't know that they can do it, but they've got, I mean, I employ two military guys because I know that, you know, they're going to show up, they're going to do the things to the best of their ability, they've got integrity, and I love employing military guys because they're fucking hard workers. But for whatever reason, a lot of guys leave and they just settle for less, and they really shouldn't have to.
Yeah, it's frustrating, isn't it? I mean, that's what I do. My organisation, British Military Martial Arts, half of my guys are military, and we show them how to be successful in teaching martial arts is obviously my niche side of things, and how to be successful in running your own business, because they're terrified, because all the bills are paid, all your food's done, everything's taken care of, and you are totally institutionalized. And some people, even though they are the perfect entrepreneurs, and I've talked about this before, but they set the bar quite low sometimes for themselves, and will go and do something quite safe, where they're I've got my pension, I'm just going to do this, I'll enjoy that, there's no pressure, and it's not really, that's not how it works. We're used to kind of getting onto a task and being resourceful and finding a way, one way or another, to get to the end and get the objective done, which is the perfect entrepreneurial mindset, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, such a shame, but it happens, and I think a lot of the guys leaving that are worried about letting go of the security of the job, etc., would be absolutely dumbfounded at the opportunities they have if they took the leap of faith, so to speak, But
yeah, if you take, there's no safe, talked about this earlier, if there's no safety net and you jump, you'll make it.
Yeah.
Because you have to, when you get out a little bit, I mean, I had to bet the ranch and put all my eggs in one basket. These are all the things you're told not to do. To get success, you need leverage. And I did put all my eggs in one basket and watch the basket very, very carefully, because I had no other options. Right. I had to kind of make what I was doing succeed. And because of that, I did succeed. I'm not telling everybody to take massive risks. And I kind of had to do it again after COVID. Right. It wiped out 70% of my business.
Yeah,
I was like, wow, I'm going to have to kind of really, and I wasn't expecting to do it in my mid 40s, to have to kind of realign everything and try again. But I did. And luckily I managed to reestablish a level of success as well.
Yeah.
But untapped resource. So with your material then, so, for those of you that don't follow, what's your social media?
So it's Ollie Carson, and then there's 2 underscores there.
Yeah. So I'm not even sure how I came across you, but where do you get your inspiration for your material? Because you've got, every time I watch it, you've got have you got a list, you write stuff down, because you've just constantly got new material all the time, and it's always interesting, and of value, which are important, isn't it?
Yeah.
They say it's got to be a value or entertaining, hasn't it, to kind of
get any sort of engagement on socials. Yeah. So there's 2 parts of it. The first part is I'm really clear on who I help and what I help them to do. I call it my mantra. So my mantra is we help frustrated personal trainers to build thriving online businesses. That's our mantra.
So you got a mission statement, basically.
That's our mission statement, exactly. And so everything that we do comes downstream from that. So whether it's the content we're producing or the resources we're making for our clients, everything comes downstream from helping frustrated personal trainers build thriving online businesses.
Yeah.
And then within that, you can kind of compartmentalize it one step further, and we have 3 core areas that we focus on. So we call it entice, enroll, empower, but essentially it's just marketing, sales, and fulfillment. Those are the 3 core areas that pretty much all businesses have to focus on. It's like, how do you attract new customers? How do you sell them, and what's your process to do that? And how do you deliver exceptional service or results for those people? And so already we've got this catalog of topic points that we can discuss. And then I just, I know, because I've done it, because I've been the frustrated personal trainer who wants to move online and have more time and location freedom, I know what the challenges are, I know what the frustrations are, and I know how to overcome them. And so I just make content about that. And it's just trying to add enough value to people that they go, oh, Ollie knows what he's talking about. Let's enroll on the program. And it just kind of works like that.
So they're building trust. They're getting to know you beforehand. They're building trust, and you're giving them some help for free, aren't you, basically? And that's how you build trust, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I've heard the stats as well, isn't it, with personal branding, that they need to see 7 hours worth of material or something. Is that what you go off as well?
Yeah, so that's why things like this are fantastic. Podcasts where you've got that longer form content, people can really get to know you as a person, the things that you've been through. The military thing has always been a selling point. I speak to guys all the time, they go, I trust you because you're ex-military.
Yeah, that's so valuable, isn't it? They kind of know what they're getting with that, don't they?
No nonsense approach.
Yeah.
You're not going to bullshit me. You're not, it's not all a facade. They know that you're to the point, you're direct, you're going to get them what they need.
Absolutely.
So that's another superpower for blokes who are considering getting out, but they're reluctant, or they're playing their cards a bit close to their chest. People absolutely love it at the minute. These ex-military guys who are now running their own business. If you can sprinkle that element on top of what you do, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Because you can't fake it. You've either served and you've served at a high level, or you haven't. So it's a superpower for blokes, and I wish they leaned on it more.
Yeah, definitely. And we're talking about what Smudgy's doing with the Airborne, the Airborne group, Business Airborne group as well. I mean, I think you could really add some value there, because what a great captive audience. And it's not about audience as in, more customers for me. It's because people understand, genuinely successful people in business understand it's a mutual success that both parties will need to participate in. If someone's extracting more from the transaction, it's going to break down and it's going to be one-sided. But I think a lot of people have been stung before, and they think that's what marketing is. I used to for years think marketing is just tricking someone, but it isn't. It's communicating clearly the value that you've got, because and convincing someone that I can help you, and I'm going to bring some real value to you if you can trust me. And once you can bridge that, then you can really help them. And I think with the Airborne group as well, because they've got that element of being airborne, they're going to trust you anyway. And you've got a hell of a proven track record in both building a business in PT, which is very important to have actually walked the walk first, and then a successful business in training the trainers. So you've kind of got both. Yeah. So, and that would be a great captive audience of people. Just think how good they will be if they use that elite mindset to drive forwards with the confidence, knowing that someone's got the back.
Well, I spoke to Smudge off air. Like, I really want to get involved with it in some way. But like, in particular, Airborne physical training instructors, I think they should all start personal training and online coaching businesses.
That'd absolutely clean up, wouldn't
absolutely clean up. If you understand the basic principles of marketing yourself correctly, you do it to a high standard, you do it consistently, you learn sales, and you have a shit hot product that you deliver.
Yeah, you need both, don't you?
That's where people have that lack of trust is, people have been burnt. We have guys come to us all the time that have invested a lot of money in working with gurus or people who say that they can deliver a result, and the service is just dog shit. And you can't polish a turd. And the problem is that making content nowadays is so accessible, isn't it? Like, look at us here now. This is all being done for us. It's incredible. We're just having a chat, and it will come across premium, and it will come across as though we know what we're talking about. But if we don't deliver on that, like you say, you can't have a business off the back of it. You have to deliver results for people. Yeah. So that's the fundamental thing that we get our guys to focus on is
the product.
Yes.
And the product is you and the service that you give. Everything else is noise, isn't it? It's marketing or sales.
Absolutely.
But the product has to be good as well. So, but on social media, it's kings of the marketing, isn't it? And they're doing all this front end stuff. Yeah. And then you're not really there's no middle or back end on this at all, is there?
But then the problem lies is you get the guys who focus so much on the product and service, and they don't pay any attention to the marketing and the sales, and they become what I call the best kept secrets. If people did work with them, they'd be blown away with how great the service is and how knowledgeable they are and the amazing results they get. But they just haven't put enough focus and attention into actually attracting new clients in the first place, and so they're the best kept secret, and that's a dying shame.
I mean, being exceptional at something isn't good enough anymore. It used to be, but because there's so much other noise out there by marketing now, you're doing yourself and your potential customers an absolute disservice by not learning modern methods of marketing to a high level, because you, like you just said, you are just going to be a best kept secret, and you're going to be able to create no value for nobody. So get out your comfort zones, get yourself in there, find someone who knows what they're doing, that you're already following, and ask them how to do it and jump. If they've got some type of mentoring program and they've attracted you because they're good, then jump on it and learn that side of things.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's quite difficult as well for guys that have been in the game for a while. You might have been a personal trainer or a martial arts school owner for 10 years and you're doing okay, but you're not really growing. And it's like, or I'm kind of stuck in my ways, or I don't want to try this new marketing style. I don't like the fact that I've got to speak to camera. But the reality is that if you don't do these things, you are going to get left behind, So it's just kind of moving with the times, isn't it?
It is, and good is the enemy of great as well. So if you're doing all right, you've got enough customers coming in, you've got enough cash, you're just going to be sat there being mediocre. And that's kind of, that's, if you're happy with that, that's good. But then where's your mission? Where's your drive? Where's your purpose? Push yourself out your comfort zone, aim big, be motivated and a little bit scared every morning when you get out of bed, for your goals, I say, and that keeps you on your toes, keeps you motivated and keeps the demons at bay as well, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. Just the right amount of hardship and pressure is nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like you say, perfect is or good is the enemy to done. It's like sometimes guys need to go to a really bad place where things are quite tough for them to actually take action. Whereas
that's the only time they do sometimes.
If you're just coasting along and everything's okay, there's not enough of an incentive for you to go, actually, something needs to change here.
Yeah.
A lot of people, or a few people, are intrinsically motivated enough to want to progress. And so they're not necessarily waiting for things to get bad before they take action. But more often than not, people are just waiting for things to go pear-shaped before they actually do something.
Well, that's one of the most motivating things, isn't it? When things go wrong, or actually, now I need to make some money. Things are down. Now I've got no money to do it. The best time to do it is when you're doing all right.
Yeah.
And then you can be exceptional. It's like when people market it. That when I'm teaching them with martial arts, they start marketing when my numbers are down. I've got to market. They've got no money to do it. So the best time to market is when your numbers are good. And then allocate that cash flow. Keep doing it and use that to leverage and keep growing.
Yeah.
But people don't, then they'll just take more money out for themselves and they're not being disciplined enough on the small things, because it's lots of small things done consistently which makes success in any endeavor. 100%. Look at if you, as a personal trainer, if you want to develop your body and get in shape, you're on MyFitnessPal, here's your macros, get them bang on every day. Yeah. You got to do 12,000 steps a day. You got to do your cardio 4 times a week. You got to hit the pushing and pulling 4 times a week. Small things done. If you do a few of them, some of the times you're going to get 0 results. Yeah. Or if you do all of them for a bit and then stop, which is what most people do, you bracket in mediocrity in any area. Yeah. And I
always call it. I say to the guys that we work with, look, I want you to be consistently good, not occasionally great. So. These are your minimum. And again, because we've got myself and some ex and currently serving guys, when we make our SOPs for the way that we deliver our coaching to our clients, we call it left of arc and right of arc, non-negotiables. And it's like, okay, when you're tied up, you're really busy, these are the minimum non-negotiable actions that you need to be taking on a daily basis to keep your business moving forwards. And here are the right of arc. When things are great, you've got time, you've got extra cash flow, this is what we want you to do. And by having that left and right of arc, it's like, as a non-negotiable, you're still moving forwards with the minimum basics that you're doing. Yeah. And I think that really helps.
Or not moving backwards sometimes as well. That's good. Yeah. If you're moving forwards and not moving backwards, you'll again eventually get to your goal. But if you're moving forwards and backwards, you do that forever and you're still nowhere near where you need to be. Yep. And that's a lot of effort because you're restarting again. You've got to re-get that momentum, haven't you? Or re-get the cash flow with your marketing or whatever it might be. Yeah. Consistent is easy. Once you get something, a level of success as well, it's a lot easier. It's like when you ride a bike and you first start and it's like getting your balance and getting pedaling. And then once you get going, you can stop pedaling. You can just, absolutely. And then you glide for a little bit and then you pedal every now and again when you go and you keep that forward momentum. Yeah. And it's the same with marketing or kind of anything really, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So what are your plans kind of moving forwards now? More of what you're doing, or have you got any like bigger plans moving forwards? More of what I'm doing. The business is growing nicely. We've got over 250 active personal trainers at the minute on the program. So 250 people that are being trained under your guys.
Correct.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah. So
for me, it's the financial side of things is amazing, but the impact is huge for us. And so, I've got an impact goal to get that to 500 active personal trainers in the next sort of 3 years. So yeah, it's more of the same and just trying to always improve and titivate our process to make sure that it's as good as it can be, basically. Yeah,
absolutely. That's amazing. So that's a hell of a business setup you've got there, and you can't do that accidentally, and you can't do that with just a good front end. Your product that you've got must be absolutely outstanding. Mm-hmm. And do you attribute a lot of that success to your military kind of mindset?
Massively. There's so many things that you pick up in the military that are applicable to business. You mentioned it. You know, I often kind of liken it to like you're doing your battle prep or whatever, or if you've got your TAMs out and there's a process that you're following. If you can apply that to what you're doing in your business, like, you know, it seems really nonsensical for guys who are just starting out to write SOPs, because it's like, oh, I'm not at that stage where I need SOPs. I know what I'm doing. I can do it as I go. But if from day one, week one, you write out, okay, this is how I am going to do my marketing. This is how I'm step by step going to onboard new clients. You know, if you've got a process for everything, it allows adjustment to be easier, because you can identify where the gaps are. This isn't working, we can change it. If you're doing things ad hoc and on the fly all the time, it becomes really difficult to nail down, what did I do last month that worked really well versus this month? Because it's changed. It's difficult for you to see where the problems are. So I'm big on like SOPs and that kind of thing. And this is all stuff that I got from the military. I didn't get that from a business mentor or anything. It's like, this is stuff that you learn in the army.
Brilliant. And if you're passing that down to your coaches, then they'll pass that mindset and that consistency, that continuity down to their clients. So their product is going to be outstanding, and it's still kind of a continuation of your legacy, really, isn't it, in your processes and systems to help people. Brilliant, mate. Absolutely brilliant.
Thank you.
Well, listen, thank you very much for coming today. That's a really interesting and enjoyable chat that I've had today.
Mate, thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Great to hear.
Cheers.
Cheers,
Cheers, Lee.